This is a 10-slide nominating process. I'm going to be going over about nominating and different terms that we actually have. There are 5 different ways to nominate yourself for president. One would be the self-announcement. Number 2 would be caucus. Number 3 would be convention. Number 4 would be direct primary. Number 5 would be petition. Some of these terms have multiple meanings, like nominating yourself, plus they're actually a way to actually vote for people. So we'll go through each one. Self-announcement is the oldest form of the nominating process. It's still found in small towns and rural areas. Basically, if someone wants to run for office, they simply announce it to the public. This can happen in situations where the individual is unhappy with the party's choices in an election, or if someone failed to win their party's nomination. Right now, you might have Michael Bloomberg self-announce and say that he wants to run for the president and be in the Republican Party. Other examples are Ross Perot, the election of 1992, Arnold Schwarzenegger, California governor. The caucus is a group of like-minded people who meet to select candidates that they will support in an upcoming election. The legislative branch used to hold caucuses for elections until the mid-1800s. Now caucuses for nomination purposes are only used for local elections in New England and are open to all members of the party. What we had recently was an Iowa caucus, which was basically used to decide who the delegates would be for the nomination of the president. So it's a little bit different, but it's also the same idea of a group of like-minded people to meet together to select the candidates. Convention took the place of the caucus system. Basically, the party members meet in a local caucus to pick candidates for local office and then select candidates to represent them at a county convention. At the county convention, delegates nominate candidates for county office and select delegates to the highest rung of conventions and so on. By the early 1900s, most places replaced this practice with a direct primary. The direct primary is an actually intra-party election held within a party to pick that party's candidates for the general election. Every state now uses this in some way. In most states, state law requires that the major parties use the primary to choose candidates for U.S. Senate, House of Representatives, governors, and other state and local offices. There are 5 different types of primaries. First one is a closed primary. It's used in 24 states. A party's nomination election in which only declared party members can vote. How does this work? When you show up at the polling place, their names and registration are checked and they're handed a primary ballot of the party they belong to. The voter may only mark that party's ballot. The open primary is used in 26 states. A party's nominating election is which any qualified voter can cast a ballot. On election day, depending on the state, voters can participate in either private choice or public declaration open primary. There's also a runoff primary. In certain states, they require that the candidates receive 50% or more of the vote to be declared the winner. If a required majority is not met, 2 people with the most votes run again. There can be more than one runoff election in which the majority is not received. Blanket primary. Qualified voters can vote for any candidate regardless of party. Found unconstitutional in 2000. It was used in 3 states prior to this. At the polling place, voters would receive a ballot with every candidate for every nomination for both parties. Voters could then choose some from each party if they chose. Nonpartisan primary plus 2 other forms. Candidates are not identified by party labels on nonpartisan primary. There's a private choice. Voters show up on election day and they're handed 2 ballots, one for each party. Then, within the privacy of the voting booth, each voter decides which ballot to use. Then there's the public declaration. In the other open primary states, when a voter shows up to the polling place on election day, he or she must ask for the ballot of the party in which the primary he or she chooses to vote. So public declaration and private choice are different types of open primary ballots. In this way, they must make a public choice of the party in order to vote in the primary.